What the heck is poopin'?
Muchachos and muchachas.
Lauren Cades and Gordon Schnicks alike, I'm your guide Q, and welcome back to r/AmITheAsshole. Big shout out to Solly Healer. I totally forgot to include the most recent comment in my most recent video, r/Tales from Retail, so my bad on that. I decided to include 2 comments in this video to make up for it, but let's get right into these stories from r/AmITheAsshole. We're gonna decide if these people are in the right or in the wrong in whatever situation they have presented to us. Basically, I love hearing your guys' opinions on these stories. I'm gonna give my opinion, but when I saw the comments on my last video, it seemed like there were a lot of split opinions on all 3 of those stories. So let's check out what's going on with all of these people this week, and yeah, let's just hop into the cringe. Am I in the wrong for not wanting to break up with my girlfriend/stepsister? First of all, I know how that sounds, but it's really not like that. My girlfriend and I were childhood friends turned high school/college sweethearts. We are both 20 now and have been dating since we were 14. We are both commuter students at the same state college, and we still live at home. The same home because our parents are married. It's my mom and her dad. Both were divorced when they met. You can imagine the rest. When we were in high school, we begged them not to date because of exactly this reason. Weirdly enough, while they were just dating, they were totally fine with my girlfriend and I being together, but it pretty much changed immediately when they got married last year and moved in together. Honestly, I hate being in this situation. Even though I know there's nothing wrong with us, it needles me every time my mom says, "Go tell your sister X." I think she is doing it on purpose to get under my skin. My real dad thinks the situation is hilarious, and his view basically boils down to, what did you expect from the crazy bitch? But I see him infrequently, and our living situation would be very bad if we moved in with him. Drugs, so that isn't an option. My girlfriend's biological mom has not been in the picture for her whole life, so that's not an option either. We can't afford to get our own place until we graduate. This living situation is driving us crazy, but we want to ride it out until we've graduated and have jobs and can get our own place or a place with roommates. Our parents have become laser focused on breaking us up, calling us brother and sister at every opportunity and lecturing us about how disgusting it is, asking us why we aren't embarrassed that our friends know, saying that it's not anyone's fault that they got married first and this is just the way it has to be. I love this girl and have spent my life with her. I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I just can't stomach breaking up when we are fine, and it is this bizarre outside circumstance trying to drive a wedge between us. Am I the ass here? Are we all bad? Is it inappropriate no matter what to date your stepsister who you live with? So upon initially reading the title, I was like, what is going on here? This sounds super weird. But then once the situation is thoroughly explained, it seems obvious to me that the parents are acting like complete children in this situation. The kids were dating first, and then you decided to date the parent of the person that your child is dating. You made the situation weird. They were just 2 kids dating before this, and if you 2 want to be together, I think that's perfectly fine. Nobody's related by blood, but I personally think, this is my own theory about this situation, I think the mom and dad are embarrassed that their now stepchildren are dating one another, and that makes them feel awkward, so they want to break these 2 up so that they don't have to be broken up in order for this situation to not seem weird to outside people. But they're the ones that made it strange. They're the ones that set up this whole odd scenario where everybody's living together and technically it's a stepsister and a stepbrother dating. So I personally think the step-parents are very, very much in the wrong here. They're trying to break up something that has existed since before they were dating because they think that their relationship is more valuable than their children's relationship, and they are personally embarrassed by this whole situation. But as always, let me know your opinion on who you think is in the wrong. Am I in the wrong for kicking my pregnant girlfriend out of my house when I found out the child wasn't mine? My ex and I had been together for 2 years. It was rocky for the last couple months when she lost her job and just seemed to refuse to look for work while living for free in my house, causing me to have to financially support us both. I also suspected she was cheating on me, and eventually I broke up with her and she left to live with her parents. The one caveat to this arrangement being that we would go in a couple weeks and get a paternity test done. She very happily agreed. Her reaction actually washed away some of the fears I had about her possibly cheating on me. So she lives with me for a couple weeks and we go to get the test done. We find out that the child isn't mine, and like a switch is flipped, I honestly no longer care about that kid anymore and tell her to pack up her shit and get out of my house. This was a week ago. She moved her stuff back into her parents' house, but she is staying with a friend to avoid the cigarette smoke and other problems there. She, her friends, and even a few of our mutual friends are texting and messaging me about how I'm a terrible person for doing this to an innocent child. That I have plenty of room in my home and I should just help her out. I feel like I've been through the emotional ringer these past months, and I've been through every emotion I'm capable of feeling. From realizing I was possibly a father to the betrayal when her cheating was confirmed. Honestly, I feel so emotionally raw, and sometimes I agree with them. That maybe I should take her back and just care for the kid. Was I unfair to this unborn child? Am I a total piece of garbage for not wanting them in my home in this vulnerable time for them? She cheated on me, but is this a situation where I should suck it up and take care of them anyway? I mean, I know how I feel about this, but opinions might be split in the comments, I'm not sure. I don't think you have any responsibility for this child. I mean, you were in a 2-year relationship with this woman, but that relationship was based off of trust, and when she decided to cheat on you, multiple times possibly, who knows, I mean, she got pregnant out of it, it completely breaks that trust, and you're never gonna go back to normal after that. You're never gonna be able to have a regular relationship. I mean, maybe you could, but you would have to bury all of those terrible feelings that you have about raising somebody else's kid. It would be completely normal, or you could argue that it would be completely normal if you were dating a woman that already had a kid, or dating a woman that was pregnant with somebody else's child, but she's no longer with that person and you want to be the father for that child. But in this situation, you were already in a relationship and she betrayed your trust and created a baby with somebody else. It's not your kid, dude. It's not your responsibility, because she just ruined everything. She made it a complete mess, and I do not think you're in the wrong. And I know I'm gonna get people in the comments that are like, why are you abandoning her though? You have space in your apartment, you could just let her stay there with her kid. That's not his responsibility. She's the one that got herself into this whole situation, and it's not his responsibility to clean up after a person who has made it very clear that she does not care about him enough to respect their relationship. So she can just do whatever she has to do. She's an adult, she can take care of herself. Am I the ass for not wanting to pay for my stepkid's education despite paying for my own kid? My husband and I have one daughter, age 7, and he has 2 older sons from a previous marriage, 11 and 15. They currently live with us, but had been living with his mom up until about 2 years ago. Their mom is really messed up, addicted to drugs now, and on the brink of death basically due to her addictions. My husband has largely cut ties with his ex-wife, but is obviously still responsible for his sons. So here's my current dilemma. I want to send my daughter to private school starting next year. It'll be expensive, like $15K a year, but I've talked to my husband and we can spare the money because we want our daughter to get a top-tier education. However, a few weeks ago, my husband confronted me about potentially paying for his younger son's schooling as well. His oldest, being in high school, is already uninterested in switching schools, but his younger son is apparently not opposed to the idea. I was upset because he told his son without even telling me. Between our salaries, we can only really afford one kid to go to a $15,000 a year school. I'm a bit upset because sending our daughter to private was always part of the plan, and yet my husband just casually floated the idea to his son only for him to say, okay, sure. And now that we've done the math, we've realized that we can't afford $30K in tuition. I still want to send my daughter to that school because we've promised her so since she was about 5, but my husband says either both kids go or neither does. I feel like he's intentionally sabotaging our daughter's chances, and it's making me really upset. However, I get that he wants the best for his kid as well, but I resent how casually it was raised and how his son responded so casually to his dad's question. I want to issue an ultimatum to my husband. Basically, we pay for our daughter's schooling first and foremost because we made the promise to her first, and I want my husband to tell his son the bad news because he was the one that promised us something that neither of us could deliver. Am I the asshole for thinking that is a good plan? Okay, before I give my opinion, I just want to establish that I am not a parent and both of my parents are still together, so I've never dealt with any divorce situation or kids from different families or anything like that, so I'd really like to hear your guys' opinions on this one. But in my personal opinion, it just seems like the order of operations and the planning is terrible here. Just to plan to send one kid to school and then not even think about what the other kids might want is a little bit strange to me, and she doesn't seem to have any ownership of her husband's children. Like, throughout this entire thing, she calls these children his sons. She doesn't take any ownership whatsoever. She seems to have a lot more respect for their daughter that they've had together than she does for either of these other two children. And she's been with this man for at least 7 years, since the kid is 7, and they've lived with her for 2 years. So that just seems a little bit off to me, looking in from the outside here. So I personally think she's in the wrong here. I don't think she's taking her stepson's lives as seriously as she is for her daughter that she birthed out of her own birth canal or whatever. But let's look at a couple comments here. One thing I just wanted to touch on is she promised private school to a 5-year-old child. How does a 5-year-old even have a concept of how private school is in comparison to public school unless you've planted the idea in their head that private school is amazing and public school is terrible? You're in the wrong. I have no words. I feel bad for his kids. I say his kids since you clearly don't consider them as important as your daughter. You are what every kid fears when their divorced parent finds someone new. And I just wanted to point out that this individual comment has 3 times the upvotes of the post itself, which is very, very rare on Reddit. You're the ass, and what an asshole. You promised a 5-year-old private school? What the hell does that even mean? Be careful, you might also be raising an ass. She sees you treating her brothers differently, and pretty soon she'll think her shit don't stink. And this is the last comment we'll look at. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with opinions while you're trying to formulate your own on this post. If you have 3 kids and you can only afford one $15,000 a year school, then don't look for $15,000 a year schools. These boys need a lot of love and care right now if their birth mother is going through a difficult time and they've had to witness it. Please be kind and supportive of them as well. Your daughter does not need private education. She'll do just fine without it, as long as she has a loving, supporting family around her, which includes her older brothers. Yeah, I just feel like this situation is not balanced whatsoever. And I just wanted to mention real quick that I went to like a $10,000 a year college, and this kid is going to a $15,000 a year private school, or planning to do so. Like, I'm not saying that you can't spend your money however you want and send your kid to a private school. I don't think it's the most necessary thing on the planet unless the public schools in your area are super horrible, but you should think about the balance between all of your children. But I really want to hear your opinions on this. I don't want to overload you with stuff, even though I totally already have. But anyway, skate on to the best of your abilities. I hope you're drinking more water out there, and I will see you very soon. Also, there is no Twitch stream tonight. I usually stream on Monday nights, but my Wi-Fi has been extremely inconsistent today, and that's why this video took so long. I don't want to start up a stream and then have to like shut it down after 20 minutes and then start it back up and then shut it down again because the Wi-Fi cuts out. So I will see you very soon. There should be a stream tomorrow if everything goes according to plan and the Wi-Fi is back in a correct state. So I will see you soon. Bye. Drink water. Bye.